Hello and welcome back to a new week full of reading, hopefully outside in the sun. I'm starting this week off with The Rage of Dragons. I still have the June Boys that I want to read this week, and Walk on Earth a Stranger, and I wish I could also get to Starflight, but that is highly unlikely to finish this month. This is what I want to read until Thursday. I just started this pretty much, and I set this up for multiple days to stretch this a little bit. And then yeah, Walk on Earth a Stranger is a traveling book, so that means that this book has been read by others before. So I'm the seventh person reading, and what's really cool about this is that everybody who reads this writes their thoughts in here with like their color, and this way we have a book full of comments and it feels like you're reading it together. This is a project that has been initiated by some people on Goodreads for Germany, and I love this so much. I'm listening to the June Boys. I think I am around 65% in, so I should be able to finish that today. And I wish I could also get to Starflight, but as I said, with my work schedule, I do think that's gonna be a big challenge. And then I'm getting ready to get my TBR done for May, and you can take a sneak peek here, which is funny because that sneak peek is most likely I will film my TBR probably tomorrow or the day after, and it will already be up on my channel and you will know my full TBR. So this is not a sneak peek, this is a sneak back peek or something. I am going to be taking part in the Asian readathon, and I have a couple of choices on. I have already done quite some work, and now I want to sit down outside, take a little break, and just get some reading done before the weather drives me back inside. Let's get that done. So I finished chapter 1, and I mean, the prologue, I really was into it. I understood what was happening, and even though there were a few aspects that I didn't get yet, I'm on page 56 and I am super confused. I have a lot of trouble being in the scenarios, what's happening. I don't know if that's my mindset or if the world is just so different that I'm not sure what's going on yet, but it's kind of annoying. I feel like I'm reading and nothing's sticking. I hope with chapter 2 this is gonna get better. Hopefully by then I have a better understanding of the world. Overall it's written quite well, and I'm enjoying this kind of different magic system that I haven't heard before yet. So I'm at the end of chapter 2, and I am way more into this now than in the beginning. I'm starting to understand the people who are playing at this and the settings. So I think my initial like 50 pages were new fantasy syndrome. Also, I'm running some scavenger hunt sprints over in a WhatsApp group where we sometimes read together, and I really love hosting scavenger hunt sprints, and this kind of helps me get into this, because in the beginning I need to force myself to just stay concentrated on what's going on. I still do want to reach page 215 today, so this is what I want to read today still. Let's see if I can do that. I hope so. Right now I'm reading quite slowly, 14 pages in 20 minutes, which is just way too slow. I want to finish the June Boys, and I want to continue a little bit further in my toilet book, so the book that's good to read while you're in the bathroom for a couple of minutes, because it has like 1-2 page chapters. It's a fabulous nonfiction book called Khalid und die wilden Sprachpferde. It's about how refugees from Syria are encountering the German language, and yeah, it's really good, and I want to finish that this month as well. Let's get on to the next sprint. So far, we're going on a little trip, a little day trip, and I found out that I'm going on a mountain. I'm taking my best friend and the queen. And now, during the next sprint, I'm gonna see if I'm going to use a form of transportation and if I'm gonna take any like snacks. So let's dive into chapter 3. So I got to page 215 and it is time for bed. This is so good. I don't want to stop reading. I want to keep going, but it's so late. I really need to go to bed. Honestly, I can absolutely recommend this. There's just so many aspects that are just amazing. And, you know, the kind of book that reminds you why you love reading. This is the type of book. I have to work tomorrow, so let's put an end to this and go to bed. Hello. It's Tuesday afternoon, evening, and I haven't even updated you yet because I get up, I work, I sit down to read. And I am currently so hyped for this book. I'm about halfway through, starting chapter 7, and I'm in love with this book. I can't believe this is like a debut. There are so many things done well and done right that I've been complaining in other books. I think the only thing that I could see people not liking is expecting this to be about dragons. And even though the title makes sense to me, and there is dragons in here in a way, and I think even in the description that we have here, it's not necessarily to be expected, but after the title and everything, you would assume to have more like dragon friendship or whatever. It's just that the powerful women have the power, and I think there was like 1 in every 2,000 has the power to call down dragons. But it hasn't been used much. This is much more about a personal journey, determination. This is how a Chosen One story is done right, I feel like. I've seen one complaint about this book, that we don't see a lot of female characters in the story. The only female characters are just side characters that are there for the main character's storyline. But I feel like you don't have to have a female leading character in every single book, and it doesn't make it misogynistic. I feel like there's so many female characters in fantasy. More so I feel like YA in adult fantasy, there's more male characters for some reason. And yes, it's amazing to have a good feministic story, a good, feministic. I'm not much of a feminist because I feel like a lot of feminists take the idea of wanting females and males to be equal too far and make feminists to be these people aggressively wanting to change roles and put females above males, and that is something I cannot get behind because I think that goes too far. Just because a book has a white lead doesn't make the book racist, and just because a book has a male lead and doesn't have a strong female character doesn't make it misogynistic. It's about how the characters feel and speak about the other sex. It's about how they act towards them and how they treat them and how they involve them or not, and how the place of another race or another gender in this world is portrayed. And if it is portrayed in a lesser way, which is, there's an absolute right for this to happen because that is the truth and that is what's happening. It's about how the author deals with it and how the characters deal with it. I have nothing against a racist, a misogynistic character if the author deals with it correctly, and if the author then brings it into showing the reader why this is not something that they want to condone, or bring the message of this is not the right way to act kind of across. If you're looking for a book with a strong female lead, this is not the book, but it doesn't make this book bad in my eyes. Okay, no, I need to continue reading because I am so addicted to this book. I did read a little bit in Khalid und die Sprachpferde, which is so good. If you read German, absolute recommendation. But this, oh my god, why is this so good? This is amazing. I haven't had a fantasy book that I felt so drawn into since Crown of Feathers. The sheer unfairness, I had like strong emotional responses to, even more than in any other book that I've read before that had like caste systems, slaves, or any form of unfairness. I already want the next one. Oh, this is so good.
Approximately 10 hours later.
I am so tired, but look at this. I'm on page 3 61. And oh gosh, love how this book handles topics like oppression and caste systems and everything. This could become my favorite book of the year. Eyes are starting to get tired and I need to stop. Evan Winter, you are an auto purchase author for me now. One of the books that I did like, and I don't remember if I talked about it after finishing it, was The June Boys. I finished The June Boys, I believe yesterday, even though I liked the overall idea of it was half following the person trying to find the people, and in a second half it was following the boys who were held captive. What was really confusing was the timeline. So I listened to it on audiobook and I got so confused. What is happening in May? What is happening in June? Felt like I was going back and forth the whole time. I couldn't relate to any of the characters. The characters seemed a little bit bland even. I was so ready for a mystery, and then the June Boys just didn't do it for me at all. Did I see the end coming? No, I didn't. I didn't catch the killer of this crime. It didn't feel the way it should feel in like, you know, this type of crime. Let's get to bed now. I am so tired. Good nighty night. Hello, it is a wonderful Wednesday. The mail just came. Already did quite some work today. Look at this little cute dinosaur. We have received from a mom. She has been sewing us some face masks. This is for my son. Look at this. Aw, this is so cute. I love the fabric that she used. And this one. This is the first time I'm using a mask. I hate this stuff. Look at it. I guess that's okay. I have this really weird tic where I hate when something touches the tip of my nose. Oh, this is horrible. Oh, no. How am I supposed to go shopping? My question of the week is, do you have a crazy weird tic? Please share it with me. I would be so interested in hearing if you guys have any weird tics. Let me know in the comments down below. I cannot believe that my lotus flowers have been blooming. I mean, what's going on? I feel like I'm killing all the plants. And I got some seeds from Asia, and usually I feel like these seeds are mostly dead, but they're all blooming. My bonsais are blooming as well. Look at this. Isn't that awesome? Good morning. So I just came back from my chiropractor, who is finally able to do stuff again. I already feel so much better having been able to see her. Aside from that, today is the last day of the month, and today is Thursday, and today is the last day of the week for me because tomorrow is a bank holiday. So today I need to finish The Rage of Dragons. I am not in a reading slump. Last you've seen me read like crazy. I have entered the stage of not wanting the book to end. I did want to read Walk on Earth a Stranger still this month, but I am so in love with Rage of the Dragons that I don't want it to end. I have so many cool books planned for May. I'm really looking forward to diving into those as well. That's not a bad thing, right? And I can look forward to those. Aside from that, I have a full day of work ahead. So let's just get cracking. Let's get to work. Find some reading time in between. Sadly, it's not nice outside anymore to go outside and read outside. So I still have to talk about these two books. So I finished these two books just at the end of April. First of all, I think this currently is my favorite book. I have loved this so much. The title really is misleading a little bit because I think it is a lot less about dragons than you think when you just see that and hear that. It's about sword fighting pretty much. It's about doing your best, about determination. I love this world. I love this book, and I think this is one of the rare ones that I probably want to read again. This here is the nonfiction of January. My dad recommended this to me, and for people who are interested in language, this is really, really good. It is written in German and is about the German language and the Arab language and how people who are coming from Syria are experiencing the German language, and it's just brilliant. convenient in a lot of ways. It wasn't completely interesting to me because I'm just not that much of a fan or interested in language. After a weight loss surgery, so a bypass or a sleeve, and I did have bypass in the end of November. A lot of people after a couple of months start losing hair, and I think it's mostly due to a lack of protein. I'm trying to get as much protein in as possible, but it's just so hard, especially when you're not keeping all the food that you're eating in your body. It's so hard to make sure that you have enough. For some reason, I am in the mood for a dystopian series, and Colony popped up on my Netflix, and I just started watching the first episode, and I'm just gonna finish that now. I'm probably Friday is May 1st, so we start a new TBR. I will read, I think, around 80 pages. I'm reading this as a buddy read with Lucienne and Ilva. We have agreed to read chapter 1 to 12, which is up to page 71. Trisha knows the #1 rule of being a woman from Trinidad: be hella fierce. She's a Muay Thai kickboxer after all. The fighting is intense, but she loves the rush. But after she sees that her mother is just a little too at peace with her father's recent accidental death, she begins to suspect that perhaps his death was no accident at all. Love and violence, in some families they're bound up together, passed from generation to generation like eye color or a quirk of a smile. Trisha's trying to break the cycle, but it's not easy. It can go either way, and because this is only like 220 or something, having a mystery in here, character building, I'm really excited to see how they're trying to pull this off. And then I want to read History is All You Left Me. This is a traveling book, but I have a feeling that I might be sleeping a lot, so let's see.
It's party time!
Hello, it's Saturday morning and I am done with History is All You Left Me. I'm giving it 3 out of 5 stars. I think that in History is All You Left Me, we're following this boy who has lost his boyfriend. No, he has lost his ex-boyfriend, and we're following his grieving process. He's encountering current boyfriend, portrays really well how somebody with OCD might feel, and it is not making it to be something it's not. It's taking mental health seriously, and it is not making it romantic or brushing it off. I think there's a lot of elements that are done really well. The main character is doing a lot of stupid things and might even be an asshole and unlikable at times, which again I feel like is quite realistic. The one thing that I felt was really missing to kind of make sense of this relationship mess that we had here was the author exploring the real reasons a little further why he did that. So that is why it's only getting 3 out of 5 stars. I will now sit down and read today's portion, which is I believe until 152. So far I find it a little bit confusing. There's a lot of people, there's a lot of cultural references that I possibly don't get. It is jumping a lot between things. So at this point it feels like I am reading a teenager's diary that hasn't been edited, kind of, and I am not here for that. So I'm right now on my way to go shopping with my son. It's going to be the first time that I'm going to be shopping with a face mask, which is gonna be super weird. And I got ready so I can film the TBR and the giveaway after coming back. There's still quite some reading that I want to do today, but then at around 5 or 6 o'clock I also have my weekly meetup with Jen to do some Korean. Looking forward to a full day of stuff. Now just waiting for my son to get out so we can go shopping. Good morning, it's Sunday and I am completely sleepy. I have only slept a couple of hours for some reason. Couldn't sleep any longer. Now I'm making myself some breakfast, some eggs, mushrooms and sun-dried tomatoes. Trying something new. Have no idea if it's going to work. Looks a little bit dry, to be honest. Got this from Food Hacks with Nadia on Netflix, but I accidentally got large tortilla wraps. Let's also make some coffee and let's talk about The Nightvale. I read a little over 100 pages. Welcome to Nightvale is based on a podcast. It's super weird. I find the writing style super interesting and funny, but after 106 pages, I had to DNF it, sadly. Doesn't mean that it possibly isn't a good book for people who are into this like weird storytelling. I am just not that type of person. It is too weird for me. I cannot follow a storyline at all. The sad thing about it is that there was a lot of writing in here. I mean, something like this. She had recently turned 19. She had been recently 19 for as long as she could remember. The pawn shop had been hers for a long time. Centuries, maybe. Clocks and calendars don't work in Nightvale. Time itself doesn't work. So I think this weirdness and this quirkiness is still fun, but it just takes it over the top. Everything that happened doesn't happen at the same time in a way. All of the angels in Nightvale live with Josie out by the car lot. There are no angels in Nightvale. So this is like a constant thing where everything happens and doesn't happen at the same time, and it's just a little bit too much. I'm going to enjoy my cup of coffee, my egg roll tortilla wrap thingamajig. It's actually not as dry as I thought because mushrooms and sun-dried tomatoes. Juicy. Dive into the manga that I want to read today, and then I will probably start Little Fires Everywhere. I am so annoyed how my internet is acting up today. Started watching Into the Night, which is an interesting time to come out with a dystopian catastrophe pandemic kind of series on Netflix, but I feel like it is amazing. It's so much fun. But now I cannot watch the last one because I am having trouble connecting to my internet. And then I started watching Upload on Amazon Prime. That was surprisingly good as well. I did not expect that. I have started taping myself reading mangas, and I wanted to do this Manga Monday, but with all my editing issues and being so behind on editing, I don't know if that's ever going to be released. Let's be honest, I'm still trying to. And this is one of the first mangas that I bought. I bought this as part of the Amazon haul back in November, I believe. And after that, I got like all these mangas. There's more. There's like twice as much, and I'm so looking forward to read them, but then my TBRs take over and I concentrate on those. I'm super pumped for several of these. It hasn't been necessarily recommended to me like that, but I am still adding it to the pile because it was one of the first that I got. On the island of Wakoku, the Civil War offers everyone the chance to become a hero. From fishing women to bastard children, any can make a name for themselves by working through the rigorous ranks of the army. Hinowa, a young woman with extraordinary skills, is determined to do just that. But she soon learns things may not always go as planned. More than 10 years after a disastrous battle, the war is still ongoing, and a girl with black hair and black markings washes up on shore. After this, Little Fires Everywhere, which I'm going to be reading on audiobook because I did not remember to order the book in time. So what's the next physical book that I'm reading? Tomorrow, probably. So next week, I'm going to dive into Downstairs Girl, if you're interested in that. That's going to be a buddy read with Lucienne, and I'm super looking forward to that. So that was a really quick read. I think I'm going to give it 3 out of 5 stars. There's nothing I can really complain about, except that the story just didn't grab me. It had nice characters, but there was just nothing that really brought any tension that I was like, oh yeah, I'm hearing something about the culture, about a storyline, about character building or something. It was just good for beginners who are into strong women characters and battles and war, but it lacked a strong storyline for me. Not enough. So I've just finished Fight Like a Girl, and this book just wasn't for me. It was jumping all over the place. The way it was written was like a teenager speaking, which can be done well, but in this case, it started to annoy me a little bit. There was no tension in the mystery. There was no guessing. There was no wanting to turn the pages to know what happens. It just felt boring. It sadly is a 2 out of 5 star for me. Sorry. So it is time to go to bed and wrap up this week. Honestly, I think I had a good and a bad reading week at once. Good because I feel good with the amount that I read, with my work schedule and with what I set out to read, I'm actually quite happy with what I ended up reading, especially because over the weekend I have been on like 3 first days of May. I am completely on track to read my full TBR, which is crazy. I have already finished 2 books in May. I have DNF'd one and I am on track with the 3rd one, which is amazing. But the books that I've read in May so far are not what I want to read. But then again, I have finished my favorite. The Rage of Dragons is my favorite book of this year so far, and I love it and amazing read. But then so let's see where that goes. I'm hoping the rest of the month is gonna be a lot better, which isn't gonna be hard. So far, I'm on page 108 on Little Fires Everywhere, and I'm enjoying it. It is nothing special so far. It is giving a little bit of information on like these people living in this perfectly planned suburban lifestyle. I'm waiting for the page turner to kick in, which I feel like what I've heard, and it's hard if you haven't heard anything about Little Fires Everywhere. But I have been able to stay away from the content, but I couldn't stay away from people hyping it. So I'm expecting a lot from this book, and I'm expecting a lot from to become a page turner or an open mystery or something more than what it seems to be right now. Definitely. So far it's nice, but not groundbreakingly amazing or something. So I'm gonna finish that next week. Absolutely on track with how much I wanted to read. I think I set out to read 100 pages of this today, and I read 108. So voila. 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 So yeah, I'm really looking forward to next week. There's at least 1 book on the schedule that I'm hyped for. Then there's a 2nd book that I'm really looking forward to because it's a Once Upon a Book Club book. Then there's one where I have a few question marks, but potentially next week is going to be a really good reading week. So I am happy with this week. Although I'm not happy with all the books that I read, I'm happy with this week. All right, this is it for this week. I hope you enjoyed this little vlog. These isolation quarantine, well, I'm not really on quarantine or lockdown, but these stay-at-home vlogs are getting more and more boring, I feel like, but I'm trying to keep it interesting by reading interesting books. That's all I can do. All right, I hope you still liked what you saw. If so, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, check out my giveaways, and I hope I'll see you again real soon. Until then, bye!